Okay, so today we're going to be looking at those incredibly common and incredibly useful third and sixth licks. They're known as harmonized thirds and sixths, but if you don't know the theory, don't want to know the theory, don't worry. You're going to be able to learn these and use them all over the neck as long as you know your simple first position chord shapes of D, A, and F. That's it. All of these harmonized third and sixth licks simply connect two of those shapes using the exact same notes every single time. Okay, so let's start from those simple chord shapes. Let's find them for a G chord all over the neck and see how the notes are going to be the same. So, D shape. We know that it's a second string root. We find a G note on the second string. It's there at the 8th fret. That is our D shape of a G chord. If we take our F shape, which again in the cage system is known as E, but if you watch my lessons, you'll know that I think it's more easily described as the F shape because when you move up the neck, you're barring, which you do with an F and you don't do with an E, right? So if you know your F shape, you know it's fourth and first string roots. Find a G note on the first and fourth strings. There it is. You all know that that's your F shape of a G chord. Okay? A shape, third string root. Where is there a G note? Up there at the 12th fret. So your octave of an A shape of the G chord would be there at the 10th and 12th frets. So everything I'm showing you today is simply joining and then the open position G chord that you all know and love. It couldn't be simpler, okay? So when the strings are adjacent, they are a third, the interval of a third apart, right? You know that your major triad is made up of 1, 3, and 5, so they're a third apart, right? And so when you play them on adjacent strings, that's going to be the interval. That's all that this harmonized third thing means. But you're basically playing a double stop, two notes together on adjacent strings, and the notes are going to be exactly the same whether we're playing the thirds or the sixths, as you'll see in a minute. Every single one of them is going to start with a B note and a D note, the third and the fifth, and end on a G note and a B note, the root and the third. So come up here, find your A shape of a G chord, play the top two strings, drop it down 2 frets, same shape, and then change shapes to the D shape to land on your other piece of a G chord, this time in the D shape. Could not be easier. These are often known as sliding thirds or sixths because people slide around with them. Listen to Chuck Berry, listen to Buddy Holly, all that kind of music, rockabilly. As soon as you hear these and learn these, you're going to notice them in every single song virtually that you hear, and when you're watching live players, you're going to see them use these thirds and sixths like crazy. You can even play the chromatic piece in between, so you could go. Okay, so that's the first and second string harmonized third, going from the A shape to the D shape. If we move that same figure onto the third and second strings, we're going to start here in the F shape. So we have again our D and B note, and we're going to go and land on a G and a B note, just like we did up here. So and we're connecting it to that open G chord, which I've shown in other lessons is the same form as your A shape, just moved down 2 frets. So we're connecting the F shape to to the A shape, just like we would do up here, right, at the octave. And that makes it easier for you to see that we're talking about the A shape of a G chord. So again, same notes. So how can you use these? You're playing along in a little song with a G major chord. Right? I mean, it can be any style. Let's move to the third and fourth strings. We're going to be connecting that D shape again, right? We saw that the first three strings of that D shape a minute ago. Now we're just adding the fourth string at the 9th fret. So we've got connecting that D shape back to the F shape of a G chord. Same notes that we played earlier. We've got a D, we've got a B. We're ending on a G and a B. Alright, that's the fourth and third string, connecting the D shape to the F shape. Now when we talk about sliding 6 or harmonized 6, you're just skipping a string. So you're playing the first and third strings, you're playing the second and fourth strings, you're playing the fourth and sixth strings, is what I showed at the beginning. So let's go back to that D shape, right? Now we're playing the first and third strings. Note that once again we have a B and a D, just like we had a B and a D here and in every other time. And we're landing on a G and a B. But this time they're an interval of a sixth apart because they're skipping strings, but they're the same notes. So again, don't get hung up on the theory part of this. You can play these with a pick too. You can lean your top finger, your middle finger, so it's muting the second string. That's what I usually do. So that was again connecting your D shape to your F shape. And if we're on the third and fourth strings, then we're connecting our A shape to our D shape. Do you see how easy this is? We're dealing with literally 3 different things. That's it. And this is the octave of this. So 12th fret, second and fourth strings. 10th fret, second and fourth strings. 8 and 9. And you should notice when you get to that D shape, it's starting to look familiar as, oh yeah, the C is just the D shape moved down 2 frets, right? So I've talked about in other lessons how that's awkward and hard to finger, and not a lot of people will play that full chord, but people play pieces of it all the time. Connecting the A shape to the D shape, and if you want to call the A shape there the G shape, and if you want to call this the C shape, have at it. But they're really the same thing. The last thing I did is really more, probably something more a bass player would do. We were at 10 and 9. I'm on the 6th and 4th strings. 10, 9. Again, a D note and a B note. Drop down 2 to 7 and 8. And then resolve on 5 and 7, G note and B note. So exactly, we did G note and B note every single time ending. And that's because that's the way these that's just the way they end. So So that's a lot. That's covering all 6 strings, but in a way it's not, right? Because it's simple. It's just dead simple. So what you want to do is take every chord, at least every common chord, do this over an A, over an E, over a C, over a D, take your C chord, okay? Okay, there's an A shape of a C chord, so I know I've got those 2 notes. Oh, I can drop down to the C or D shape of a C chord. Let's see, here's an octave of a C chord. Oh, I can do that. Here's a C chord, so I can go of the F shape, so I can go back down from the F shape to the A shape. All over the neck. Just find your 3 examples of the given chord and connect them. So start connecting these by going through at least the major chords, the common major chords, connecting them up, then putting on a backing track. And just start playing around and have some fun with it, and your world will expand. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time.